So how many of you guys and gals have actually taken DMT? So you have some sort of a bedrock from the things I speak about. Because otherwise it just sounds so fantastic, doesn't it? And if you haven't left the body, if you haven't had a near-death experience, if you haven't encountered supernatural beings and all these sort of things, then I suppose it's easy to dismiss unless you've read copious accounts of such things. But we've always been confronted with these things from the very, very beginning of time. What we've got to do is look into mythologies, and you've got gods, all over the place, doing this and doing that, always involved with man. And in religious scripture like Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads or the Old Testament, Judaism and Christianity and all these things, you've got all this speak of supernatural beings. And so they've been with us for a long, long time. And when we read certain literature like Madame Blavatsky or Rudolf Steiner, those sorts of people which were speaking about the origin of human beings. You see, this book, or a couple of books that I'm reading, 3 books in actual fact, a double volume with Isis Unveiled, and I've only got 1 volume of The Secret Doctrine, but both by Madame P. Blavatsky from the Theosophical Society. Gathering up all this information and mythology and speak of spiritualism and the origin of humanity as in the cosmos. Now, I once remember reading a book by Rudolf Steiner. I think it was called Many Worlds or Other Worlds or something like that. And he's speaking about how the human beings have made manifest from ethereal, spiritual bodies pertaining to other planets in our solar system. It's like these planets create these spirits of whatever manifestation. All the different varieties of bodies that there are, the astral body, ethereal body, dream body, and lots of different things. And there's many other people speaking about this stuff. And whenever you look into the origins of any of the gods, then you will see that there's very, very bizarre stuff. And there's always some god of some description manufacturing spirits and beings and demons and all that sort of thing. And when we look across the world, we can see that there has been a great deal of connection. Now, if we look into Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance, whereby it is somewhat like Carl Jung's collective consciousness or collective unconscious, somewhat like the Akashic Records, somewhat like Wi-Fi, which is a modern version, but information is all around us. This is an information soup, and if we take a leaf out what the quantum physicists say, or mathematicians say that the cosmos is written in binary, then they are saying that it's information. And if it's information and it follows structure, then it can be deciphered and worked out. And so throughout the years, throughout millennia, people have spoken about these dimensions where information resides and spirit forms reside. And how the human being was created. And when we look at the origin of a human being as far as the Bible is concerned, with God, making man out of clay and breathing life into him and this and that. Well, all that stuff has been plagiarised. Every single thing has been plagiarised. about God and Jesus and the devil. It's all plagiarised, people. And what isn't plagiarised is clearly invented. The origin of the devil, this book I'm reading speaks about the origin of the devil. Called different things, the Satan, which of course means very, very different things. And lots of you will be aware that Satan just means the contester, and it's not evil at all. Well, when did the evil manifest of the devil? Through what literature? Through what institutions? Through what manipulation through the years? Well, you can look back and you can find the root of all this. And this is why religions are so silly. When people take them remotely serious and consider that the stories that they've told in their books are legit. They're just a bunch of stories which are just picked from here and there and everywhere. And, there's hardly any root to them, save for the odd word here and there can be traced back to ancient literature and notions. When people like philologists study language, that's the thing to do, you see, because if you study language, then you can find the root and the connections to all these things, and you can go back through history, finding when is the earliest occasion when any particular word, the root of a word, was used, and then you can see what other words came out of it, and then you can see where the gods came from. Just looking down there at a load of mushrooms, don't know what they are without going down on my hands and knees, and there's a load more under there. So mushroom season, I've not been out that much. I've kind of lost interest in it because I've got other things to do, concentrating a great deal on my music. Fitness and education, really. And I know, you see, when I walk around these neck of the woods, I've trodden these paths so many times before, I know what I'm going to find, and so there's nothing really new there, nothing interesting, so I'm not going to be surprised, the chances are. So, people, getting back to spirits, this is a spiritual experience, it's a spiritual dimension, and it only has a fiction of some sort of corporality. But if human beings ever want to evolve and ever want to find the root of aliens and all different sorts of other beings, then they have to stop with this nonsense looking into the physical realm. Because if things appear to be physical, like aliens coming into our dimension, well, they're most certainly only manifestations of a certain vibration. And it's very highly likely that they come from dimensions which aren't physical. And that's why we can often see apparitions and manifestations of other entities when they start to get into our frequency just a little bit. You see shimmering effigies of images and beings and things like that. Yeah. So that's where I am anyway, people. I'm looking very deep into this stuff, and this is why I'm watching a lot of Amon Hillman, because he's delving deep into all that, and he's blowing the fictions of these desert dogmas right out of the water. And there has to come a time when humanity will just no longer have an adherence to them, because they will be too preposterous. Because the hypnosis by the religious fraternities is becoming weaker and weaker, and it can't last forever, particularly with the massive influx of information that we are being privy to each and every day. more and more people coming out saying more and more outlandish things. We're evolving as a species. Consciousness is evolving. It's discovering more and more and more. And these silly stories that have been bounding around for 2,000 years, they have to end. They have to end. We've got to start looking into other ideas, other possibilities. And we've got to start myth busting. We've got to start to investigate and take seriously the root of human psychology. And this, of course, is what Richard Dawkins is doing, has been doing for years, looking into the psychology. And there was one video that I'll get around to watching. The heading of it is Religion Inevitable? Well, due to the insecurity of the human being, because we absolutely don't know anything for sure, then we don't like to be insecure, because that's the nature of our operating system, the ego. Why has the ego been built from insecurity? Because it absolutely has to be insecure, otherwise it couldn't manifest, because there's nothing to be secure about. And so what the ego does, it just invents stories and concepts and projects this fiction onto the blank canvas of consciousness. That's what the ego does, people. And so you take the ego away, and this is why, spiritual people are always banging on about, ego, ego, ego. Well, yeah, because look, if you diminish the ego entirely, people, then you won't believe in a single thing that's going on here. And albeit I appear to have a rather large, pronounced ego, I'm very much a contradiction and a paradox, because I don't believe in a single thing that's going on here, and yet I adopt and play with the ego. Because what are you going to do when you become enlightened? You're going to chop wood and carry water. So I chop wood and carry water, and I lug around, food and bottles of beer in this dimension. If I didn't believe in that, then I would make no effort. And then this experience of the so-called physical reality would come to an end for me. And so I have to play by the rules. We all have to play by the rules, people. But you see, we have this level of genius whereby some of us, we can see through the rather thick veil of delusion. We can see beyond that, and we can enter into other dimensions of consciousness, other worlds and all this sort of thing. And then we go, wow, but you're still here. You've still got to hump food around and, do all the things that we do. Yeah. And so this is just one of the fascinating facets of what it is to be a human being. We can buy into absolutely anything we so desire. We can buy into whatever belief we wish, and we do. We do that. And one of the viewers said in the comments today, I'm not adherent to your beliefs. And I'm like, I don't have any beliefs. And if you've only watched one or two videos, then, you just better relax. I don't have any beliefs. Au contraire. I don't believe nothing. Nothing. Everything's a dream. We're all being dreamed in the mind of God. And we can play with these things. And then you see, when people start to get really involved in all this sort of stuff at different levels, then they get involved really, really deeply. And that was the whole thing, and is the whole thing that Ammon Hillman is speaking about. He's speaking about, look, in those days with these people, these Gnostics and very, very, learned people, they had been introduced into all different sorts of entheogens and mind-altering substances. And they used them, and they used them in secret. They used them to enhance their powers of perception and the powers of cognition and the power that they would have over other people, because they had greater insight. So this is what Jesus was doing. This is what lots of them were doing at the time. and invariably it involved snake venom and sexual fluids, male and female. And you know, when we look back into our so-called ancestry and history, we see time and time and time and time again the sacrifice of virgins and the bloodletting and all these different sorts of things, and the Greek oracles, you know, all our prepubescent, you know, teens that were moulded and hypnotised and indoctrinated and all this sort of thing, and then given drugs, you know, very often on their penis or in their anus or in their vagina. Because it's absorbed straight into the system. It couldn't be taken orally, it didn't have the same effect. And so even today we've got stuff like that, you know. And so if people only knew the root of all these sort of things, you know, that's why there's so much talk about, you know, the Illuminati with all of their ceremonies with children and all that sort of thing. It's been going on for millennia, people. It's always been a thing, and it still is.